Bhaskar, tell me what are the advantages and disadvantages of batch processing system? Or anyone who knows the answer?
Sir, at times CPU is idle,
Okay.
and sir, and the processing is quite slow, sir, when compared to other operating systems.
Okay. Then
Sir,
the user,
debugging is difficult, sir.
yes, debugging is difficult, and the user just submit it to the operator, and he goes. Okay, and he comes after some time or the another day in order to collect the output. Now, in between, if any changes has to be done to the program, he cannot do all those things, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now tell me something about the single user and multi-user operating system. Now we can say this is a very easy one. Yes, Rohit.
So when there is a single user using a particular system, like right now I'm using my own mobile to attend the class, so that is known as single user. And so in multi-user, we can use the same system for more than 2 or 3 can use the same system, sir.
That is the multi-user operating system. Can
Yes,
you
sir.
tell me? Can you give me an example of a single user multitasking operating system?
Sir, so Windows is an example of single user.
Okay.
MS-DOS. MS-DOS, single
The
user.
Linux is a multi-user operating.
Your MS-DOS is a single user, single system, not a multi-system. Okay?
I am saying single user, sir. MS-DOS.
No, I was asking about the single user multitasking.
Single user multitasking, sir, Windows.
Okay. And multi-user multitasking?
Linux, sir.
Linux.
So Linux, Unix.
Very good. And not only the Linux and Unix, there are Windows version is also there. Okay. Like Windows 2000, Windows 2008. Okay. Those things are basically used for a multi-user system. Okay. Okay. Next, now tell me something about the distributed operating system.
Sir, a distributed operating system manages a group of independent computers to perform a task as a single computer.
Networking. So network computers.
Yes, networking is an integral part of a distributed operating system. Okay. Now, there are two different types of distributed operating systems are there. You know that? One is synchronous, the another one is asynchronous one. Okay. In a synchronous, what happens? The computer does the same type of work. Okay. And in case of asynchronous one, a different types of work has been assigned to the different computers. Okay. Now, in case of distributed operating system, if any computer or node gets turned off, it does not affect the entire system, right? But if the main link or the main computer goes turned off, okay, then it may affect all the computers. Next, one disadvantage is that you cannot readily get this distributed operating system and you just install it. You have to customize this, okay, based on the user requirement. And one more thing is that there is no single computer that controls the entire system. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now let's begin today's class. So before I start, can you tell me about the rebooting of a system? How computer starts? Anyone? Just turn on your video and just tell me how computer starts, because this is very important thing and you should know. Shubham Das?
Sir, it is initiated by hardware such as button
Turn
press.
on your video and say, just tell me the process, what you are doing.
So we are shutting down the operating system.
No, turn on.
Then turn on. Yes, sir. Reloading, sir.
No, just want to turn on the system, okay? So
Yes,
what
sir.
are the things that is being done in the background? Yes, Shubham Das, tell.
So first we press the starting button.
Okay,
Sir, it is initiated by hardware.
okay.
Um,
Then what
Then-
happens? A
then
program named BIOS. Okay. Whenever you turn on your computer, you will see that ASI or some name is there. Okay, it displays in a black screen. Okay, so that time what happens? A BIOS program gets initiated. BIOS means basic input and output system. There, like suppose you want to change the disk priority. Okay, like suppose you want to reboot the system from your pen drive, then you have to change your disk priority to a pen drive, or like suppose any other like previously there was a floppy disk and then there is an CD-ROM like that. Okay, are you getting it? Now suppose you want to provide a password to your BIOS, your computer will not start until and unless you provide the the right password to the system. Is it clear? Your computer is not starting yet. That is the BIOS, basic input and output system. Now what happens out here is, in this BIOS process, the computer the BIOS stands for basic input and output system. Okay. What it checks all the necessary input and output devices that are being connected with the computer. So what are the basic input devices? Can you tell me? Basic input device through which you are giving an input to the computer.
Keyboard,
disk.
Keyboard, mouse, hard disk.
keyboard.
Hard disk is not your input device. See, these are the things that has to be clear. If you don't speak up, then how you are going, how can I clear all those things? Your input device is your keyboard, and basic means these are, without this the computer will not start. Is it clear? So what is the basic input device? The basic input device is your keyboard and mouse. Mouse is known as a pointing device. Is it clear? But it is considered as an input device also. Is it clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now what is the basic output device?
Monitor.
Monitor, sir.
It's a printer.
Printer is basic.
Monitor.
Monitor, sir. Monitor.
That means monitor is the only basic output device. Is it clear? You can add some more output devices, like your speaker is there. It is an output device, but it is not a basic one. There is a printer, which is also an output device, but it is not the basic one. The reason is that without printer and speaker, you can run your computer. But without monitor or without this keyboard, you cannot run the computer. Otherwise, how you are going to provide the input?
Yes, sir.
So what happens out there is, whenever this BIOS programs runs, it checks for the input and output devices. The basic input and output devices are connected, and if there is no error on those devices, then it will check, and it will, what it's going to do, it will run, or it will find the operating system which is loaded, okay, or the bootloader. Your system may have more than one operating system. Is it clear? I'm not talking about the virtual box. I'm talking about the physically also you can install multiple operating systems. Okay. So what happens out there? There you will be finding an option like, just a minute. Huh? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So your computer, Shubham, just turn on your video. So your computer may have a dual operating system. You are having a Linux as well as you are having a Windows. But what is the problem if you are having a dual operating system is, like suppose if there is any problem in the loading, then one actually what happens, see, if you have installed Linux and Windows, okay, so sometimes the Linux gets corrupted, okay, so your Windows will also not work. So nowadays it is not recommended to use a dual operating system. Instead of using a dual operating system, there are options like you can use a virtual box, and inside that virtual box you can install the operating system that you want. Okay, I have given you a hands-on practice also. Okay, I'll be explaining about that. Okay, so what happens after the BIOS program checks for your basic input and output device, it finds the means which operating system to get loaded if it is a dual operating system. Okay, otherwise the basic one or the one that is there, it will load that. And then what happens, it will initialize the operating system, then it will put all the services or the kernel files in your memory, okay, and then after loading all the necessary things, the program, the operating system, means you are able to work on that operating system. Is it clear? So that is the process. Okay, let's see about the computer starter. Okay, so Bootstrap program is loaded at power up or at reboot. Okay, now where these Bootstrap programs are there, typically it are stored in your ROM. ROM means read-only memory, and EEPROM means electrically programmable read-only memory. Okay, and these are generally known as a firmware. Is it clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Now initialize all the aspect of the system. As I told you all that there is a basic input and output devices there. All those things will be initialized by this firmware. Okay, and it will, what it's going to do, it will load the operating system kernel and start execution. So what is a kernel? Kernel is basically the heart of the computer system, and there is something called a shell. The shell is what? It's a command interpreter. So what this command interpreter does, it will interpret the commands that is given by the user, and then it will perform those tasks. Okay, is it clear about the kernel and shell? Kernel is basically the heart of the computer. I'll be explaining this in the upcoming classes. Okay, and what is the shell? Shell is the command interpreter. Whatever command you give in a character user interface, those commands are being interpreted and the services or the action performed by the computer. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next is the computer hardware review. Now, an operating system is intimately tied to the hardware of the computer it runs on. Okay, so here you will find a memory, and all these things are being loaded there in the memory. Okay, all the controllers and all these things. Now, it extends the computer instruction set and manage its resources. Okay, so there is a CPU, there is a disk controller which looks after the disk that is there in a computer. Then there is an USB controller, okay, or a plug and play, whatever you say. Now, this USB controller takes care of about this mouse, keyboard, and the printer, because with this USB only you are connecting this printer. Okay. Next, there is now this task is being performed nowadays with the help of Bluetooth also. Okay, but still you need a USB controller. Okay, out there. Next, there is a monitor where there is a graphic adapter is being required, and all these things are loaded in a memory. Okay. Now, processors. So what is a processor? The brain of a computer is the CPU. Okay. So CPU is known as the brain of the computer. You have studied this in your school days. Okay. Now, what it does is it fetches instruction from the memory and executes them. So where these executions are being done, these executions are being done in the CPU because it is the brain of the computer. And from where it takes the memory, takes the programs are being loaded in your memory. So which memory? The primary memory. Is it clear? Now, in the previous class, I was explaining you all about the cache memory. So what is the cache memory? Cache memory is been is placed in between your CPU and the main memory. Okay, and this cache memory is much faster than this primary memory. Okay, and it's much more costlier also. Okay, different versions of this cache memories are there, like there is an L2 cache and some more other names are also there. Okay, now what is the purpose and what is the need of this cache memory? This cache memory is used to like speed up the processing. Okay, now so what are the data that are being stored in this cache memory? The data which are being frequently needed, okay, are being stored in this cache memory, so that whenever we need that particular data, we can easily fetch them from this cache memory instead of fetching it from the main memory. Is it clear? Is it clear to all of you? Have you
Yes, sir.
understood? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So next day, if I ask you all, can you answer?
Yes, sir.
For that, you have to study. Okay. Now, the basic cycle of every CPU is to fetch the first instruction from the memory. So what it does, it fetches the instruction from the memory, it decodes it. Okay, these are the things you have studied in your computer architecture also. It fetches, it decodes, okay, in order to determine the type of the operand. And what it does, it executes it. And then it will fetch, decode, and execute the subsequent instruction. So first it is going to